Philly Debatable, the show that debates the Philly sports topics you're discussing.
Hello, everybody. Philly Debatable here on a July the 11th, 2023. It is a Tuesday. You got Sean Brace, you got Jon Jansen. Now, John, as I just said, July 11th, also known as 7-11 Day, my friend. You like Slurpees?
I can't recall the last time I've ever had a Slurpee. Actually, nope, can't recall. I think maybe when I was in Washington like 5 years ago, but no, I have no idea.
Well, lucky for you. All you got to do is download the 7-11 app. Here's a free plug, and you can get a free Slurpee all day today.
Well, why didn't you tell me that first? Do you like free slushies? Yes, I love. Or Slurpees, not slushies, Slurpees.
Yes.
I don't even know what they're called,
Yes.
but free, sure.
Yeah, the slushies and Slurpees are definitely
They're not the same. They're not the same.
Have you ever been at a 7-Eleven and seen somebody like
I have been to a 7-Eleven. I hate to say this. I've had the rollers, the roller stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like what are the taquitos, the buffalo chicken ones? It's not bad.
You can't top my 7-Eleven story. Christmas Eve about 10 years ago.
How do you have a 7-Eleven story?
A huge winter storm was coming in. I spent $125 at 7-Eleven. I bought wings. I bought ice cream. I bought milk. I bought cereal. I spent $27 it was.
How were the wings?
Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. Definitely ain't touching those rollers.
I don't know if I can go to gas station wings. There are some things that I have to cross the line or draw the line at, and I will draw the line at gas station wings.
So, all right, let's keep it moving here. Philly Debatable. We got the questions we're going to debate. Let's go. Question number one, of course, All-Star break. Last night, home run derby. Pretty entertaining. Tonight, the All-Star game itself. We'll talk about that coming up here in the next question. But question number one, let's look back and talk about the fighting. So I'm going to come to you for this one, John, to start. How would you describe the Phillies' first half?
I wish I could come up with like a better word. I was thinking tumultuous because it did seem kind of disorderly all over the place a little bit because of injuries, but I think I'm just going to land on fine. They're in a fine spot right now. They're not in a wild card spot. They're a half a game out. It's not like they're guaranteed a wild card spot because of the first half that they had. But there were a lot of positives to take away. Sure, they have to get Bryce Harper going. They need Trey Turner to get going as well. So those two are important in the second half. But, I think where they're at right now, it's completely fine. They're not the best team in baseball. They don't look like the team that got to a World Series last year, but neither did the team last year when they were at this time of the year at the All-Star break. So I think, right now, I think everything's fine. It could be better. It could have been worse, but at least they're within striking distance of a wild card spot.
I'm somewhere in that ballpark, of course. We're sitting in Citizens Bank Park on this one. I'm going with acceptable. And the reason why I find the word acceptable to describe the Phillies' first half is because you look at what they were last year after that terrible start, firing Joe Girardi, Topper turning things around, the team playing much better. They ended the first half at 49-43. Right now, currently 48-41. What do we know about last season? Of course, they made the playoffs, and that's all that matters.
Not just the playoffs.
Yes, we know. They went on a little bit of a run. So I'm okay with just a playoff berth at this point in time. I'm not going to start talking about October because there are much better teams in baseball top to bottom. But it doesn't matter right here in July. Heck, the Braves were a much better team than the Phillies last year in July. And how did it play out last year? Also, sticking around with that numbers, or talking about the numbers, with 73 games left in the regular season, 40-33 gets the Phillies to 88. Is that a lock to make the playoffs? It's right on the line. If they go 43-30,
what? I will say, I actually say that.
I think so as well. But if they go 43-30, which is a little bit more difficult, don't get me wrong, but still obtainable in my mind, puts them at 91 wins. Right now, DraftKings Sportsbook to make the playoffs on the yes, -200. About a week ago, it was -165. So things are moving in the right direction when we talk about the Phillies in the first half. And by the way, coming back to you, it hasn't been the smoothest ride. Trey Turner, the expectations were high. That first half, that was a disappointment. 247 batting average, well below the 300 career average that he has obtained over his career so far. 2 years in LA, he was 307 with the batting average. I keep things simple. I still like a batting average number. Of course,
simpleton.
Of course, the power numbers are down. Bryce Harper is still trying to find his footing. But I think, there's some positives as well. Let's talk about Nick Castellanos. He'll be in the game this evening. He's had a great bounce-back season. Bryson Stott is looking like he's going to be the second baseman for this team for years to come. He's playing really good baseball right now in the first half. I don't know if there's another player I want at the dish in a clutch moment than Bryson Stott, and that's saying a ton about the youngster. So at this point in time, I'm happy with what we've seen so far, but there's much better baseball to be played, and I think they will find that, things are rolling in their favor when they're starting to get the power numbers back. Maybe you get Trey Turner hitting for average a little bit more, some production from JT Realmuto, and maybe Schwarber starts to get a little bit hotter, not just hit bombs left and right. So we'll see. And, oh, by the way, Aaron Nola, could we get some consistency from supposedly
no more home runs?
Yeah,
please.
Or that. All right, let's keep it moving. Question number 2, sticking with baseball. And, of course, the All-Star Game going down tonight in Seattle. So the question is simple. MLB All-Star Game, are you watching? I'll go first. Hell yeah, I'm watching. Number 1, what else is on, right? As far as sports are concerned, I think that's it. WNBA, don't want to be disrespectful. There's been some really good basketball being played. Not too sure and you know what? That's their fault because they should target this moment in time as far as making it theirs. I did see our good friend Adam Rosenberg on the timeline saying, hey, the day after the All-Star break should all be about the WNBA. Hopefully they take those words under advisement. I think he's onto something there. Of course, we got Wimbledon and so on and so forth. There's some other things that are going on.
Did you just brush aside Wimbledon? Unbelievable.
Well, I don't think it'll be going on live.
The best
tonight.
major in all sports.
Going on live tonight, right?
Best major
in
all
all sports. Are they going to be playing at midnight over there?
It?
Are they playing it at 2 a.m. over there? I don't know. It is a crazy game over there. The game, tennis can be going on. But bottom line,
they do have a curfew.
I am watching the All-Star Game. Tugs at my heartstrings when I was a young Sean. Bo Jackson, Wade Boggs going back to back in '89.
I thought we were going to talk about like Yogi Berra and
of course Cliff Lee getting booed by the New York Mets fans. There's so many great All-Star memories. So yeah, I'm tuning in. Oh, by the way, last night was electric. Seattle, what a great scene up there with the docks, and then you got the Seattle Seahawks field, also known as Lumen Field. Shout out to our guy Jerem behind the scenes. So I will be tuning in. I'm looking forward tonight. You.
Yeah, I do love that ballpark because WrestleMania 17 or 18 that was in it, The Rock and Stone Cold.
Come on.
Yeah, some WrestleMania history there for you. That's where Brock outside in Seattle Park, Brock Lesnar almost broke his neck.
Oh, jeez.
Doing a shooting star press. Yeah, very good match between Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle in that ballpark. But I will say that I don't know if I'm going to watch it because there's a thrilling movie coming out where Tom Cruise likes to risk his life with a bunch of stunts that I'm going to probably be watching. But it is the most watchable All-Star Game out of all sports, any sports. NFL doesn't look like a football game. Hockey does not look like a hockey game. They do 3-on-3s. And also, Major League Baseball just looks like itself. Major League Baseball, guys are throwing 95 to 100. In Major League Baseball, guys are still hitting tank jobs during the All-Star Game. They're still stealing bases, great defensive plays, turning double plays. It all looks like the same. You don't see that in other All-Star games. It always looks different. Basketball is probably the worst part of it because they're scoring 200-something points.
Final 2 minutes is good.
No, it's not. It really isn't because guys are going to make more money at the end of the 2 minutes of an All-Star game. It's bad. It all looks the same in Major League Baseball. So it is the most watchable, but I don't know still what the incentive is to watch the All-Star game. I do like the festivities around it, sort of the extracurriculars. I love the broadcast of it for sure, but I just am not sure if the All-Star games are something that I'm always that much paying attention.
You're wrong about the NBA final 2 minutes. The Elam ending, I think they implemented pretty good. Okay. And also the broadcasters, you brought it up, Fox does an unbelievable job. They mic up anybody and everybody. They had that moment for cancer when you stand up to cancer, the whole stadium, you got goosebumps to watch.
Yeah.
So it's pretty electric. It's going to be a lot of fun to tune in. And is there a pitch clock in tonight's game?
I guarantee you there will be. Absolutely.
I hope there is. Let's keep it moving. Stay with the pitch clock. All right, let's keep it moving. Speaking of clocks here, we got to get it over to question number 3, and let's get on over to the hardwood. The story of the offseason is Damian Lillard, and we understand how good of a player he is. So, of course, 32 years old, you're going to get a player of that caliber. Yeah, teams are calling. Right now, general manager of the Portland Trail Blazers stepped up to the podium yesterday and said, quote, it could take months to get a deal done to move Damian Lillard. The question for you, John, I'll go to you. Number 1 here is that the right move if it does take months to get this deal done?
Absolutely. There's no sense of urgency here for Portland to get this done. It's not like Damian Lillard, if he doesn't get traded, he's trying to force his way out of Portland, or he's going to sandbag it like James Harden did. Damian Lillard will play for Portland if he's not traded. And I think for Portland, the longer they wait, the longer I think the package could get juiced up, could get better. So if the package is going to get better, then Portland's going to get a better deal, and Portland's going to come away away of this looking better. So, yeah, I think so. It's not like Portland needs to make the deal right away, and Damian Lillard wants to get out of there. I don't think there was a sense of urgency to do so. So wait, and I think waiting has worked before. James Harden was traded during the middle of the season. We've seen other trades happen in the middle of the season that have worked out. So, yeah, I think Portland's absolutely right to say, hey, this doesn't have to get done right away. I think teams are going to be sending them offers all throughout the season if it doesn't get happen, and I'm sure the offers are just going to get better throughout time. So, yeah, I think this is absolutely the
You think Damian Lillard could go back and play for Portland this year?
Absolutely. You think Damian Lillard's that kind of player that he's going to hold out?
The toothpaste is out of the tube. I don't think that fan base would all be too pleasant to have him back after him saying, I want out.
Portland really cares. I think Portland would be fine with Damian Lillard.
I think the fans right now are probably, exhausted of dealing with every single offseason. And I don't know if there's really something there, but Cronin did say yesterday, without taking out the magnifying glass, trying to solve the mystery here. He did mention about the last 18 months. So I think there's definitely been, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think that there's been the possibility of moving Damian Lillard for the last year and a half. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure you would agree with that as well. I think the Portland Trailblazers fans are saying, you know what? I like our nucleus. And that's my big point about this right now. First of all, to answer the question, is that the right move? The right move is to get the best package in return. So if that takes 3 months, if that takes the next All-Star break, if that takes the NBA trade deadline, doesn't matter. Getting the best package in return, that ultimately is the answer to this. So months, of course, whatever you got to do to get the best package in return. Now, deadlines get deals done. So for me, Joe Cronin needs to just simply do this. There's probably 6 teams that made the phone call about Damian Lillard that have realistic chances of landing a player of that caliber with the assets and players that they can give in return. You can cut that down to about 2 or 3. We know Damian Lillard wants to end up in Miami. I think Utah has the assets to go ahead and get Damian Lillard, and I think San Antonio could very well. If you matched up Wemby with Dame, that's dangerous. Now, I don't know if they're there at this point in time, but they also have the assets as well. We know he wants to go to Miami. Good. That's cool. I want to go to Miami too. That's not Joe Cronin's best interest. I think at the end, Miami will say, hey, we will do whatever it takes to get this deal done, and giving up whatever. They got to top Utah and top San Antonio to get the deal done. So it won't shock me if that's where he ends up, but deadlines get deals done. And for me right now, if I'm Joe Cronin, I'm not hesitant. Like, they're already ahead of the process with the rebuild that they're currently in. They landed Sharp last year. It was a great pick. They got some young players that are studs up there. They just got Scoot Henderson, who's well above or well ahead of players like Brandon Miller and Wemby because he was already playing in the G League, a la the Summer League, essentially. So I like what Portland has right now. Why not? Get rid of Dame, get everything you can in return. Maybe you can package a couple players up next year, a couple assets, a couple picks, and go after a big-name player. Now, I'm not saying exactly like Kevin Durant or James Harden, but somebody player of that caliber next year or the year after. And we know that how it plays out because we've been, the poster child as far as the process is concerned and how you go ahead and flip assets and go get those players.
Right. I just don't think the relationship is that fractured with Portland that they need to just, and even with the fan base, that you're right. Yeah. But it's not, though, and I think Damian Lillard would be fine. I think where the sense of urgency comes and why a deal needs to be done soon before the season starts is I think a team that trades for Damian Lillard, and there is one team heavily rumored, and the team that Damian Lillard wants to go to in Miami that's going to be looking to win a championship right away, get him in there early. Yeah. Try and work things out. Because we know with the Sixers weren't going to win as soon as they got James Harden. They were trying to, but it just wasn't going to happen. Their better season came afterwards when they had a full season with James Harden. They're going to need a full season with Damian Lillard, I think, to get him acclimated, to know how he works within that system, how the team works around him, and then they can compete for a championship in the playoffs. So I think that's more important for a team trading for Damian Lillard than it is for Portland to, because I think things can work fine with Portland if Damian Lillard's there for a few extra months. But I think the team that needs to get him, and again, I think it's Miami, maybe the Sixers, they could also show a little bit of sense of urgency here. But I think those are the teams that need to be making this a little bit more of a priority before the season.
No Sixer fan, don't think for a second that Damian Lillard's coming here.
Who knows? You never know.
Daryl Morey can have all the tricks up his sleeve. He could be hanging out with whatever magicians he wants to in Vegas. Ain't nothing.
He's got the Windhorse magic around him. So,
all right, let's keep it moving. Number 4 here. Let's stay with the hardwood. And the NBA announced that the in-season tourney will debut this upcoming season. Simple question. Start with you, Jansen, again. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
to me, this is the thumbs down. I don't think us American sports, American viewers are going to latch onto this. This is a very European style of thing. This is a very soccer global thing that has been done before, and people do enjoy watching that, but just not here. If the incentive isn't an NBA championship, then we don't care. That's why the regular season is tough to watch, and I think this is even going to be partly the same thing. Now, the good thing is you do have betting, Sean Brace, right?
Yes.
And where is the Final Four going to be at for this tournament?
Nailed it.
Going to be in Vegas. So I'm sure the dollars are going to speak. I'm sure the extra betting opportunities are going to give this a bump up a little bit in viewership. But for this to mean anything, I think fans are going to have to believe that the NBA Cup means something. And at the end of the day, I think the NBA Cup's going to be thrown into the trash in the minds of fans when we get around to the playoffs and NBA championship. Nobody's going to be thinking about the NBA Cup. So I don't see how this is going to be a big bump up in viewership. I guess because it is special programming that it could do better numbers than your average regular season game. But I just don't think this is going to do much. So to me, it's a thumbs down. I just don't think it's going to last.
Oh, I'm a thumbs up. I'm definitely a thumbs up. It's new, number one for me, and I think there's a lot of diehard basketball fans that are really going to enjoy it. I think it's definitely specific right now to the diehards, and I'll get into that in just a second. But it's thumbs up. First of all, we all understand the almighty dollar controls all, and the fact that this is the new shiny toy. Their sponsorship dollars are going to be crazy. As you pointed out, the Final Four in Vegas is pretty cool. I like the way that they have organized it to the point that it's only going to be an extra couple games for the teams that are playing in the championship. So I'm all right with that. There's a lot to be learned about this in-season tournament. So from afar right now, I'm thumbs up. And I think it's going to be really good with the diehard sports fans or the diehard basketball fans, because I think you're going to see a lot of the G League talent, a lot of the young guns that are riding the bench, a lot of the players, like the Shake Miltons and all those B-ball Pauls, all the Sixer fans love last year and the year before and all that. Those types of players are going to be leading the charge, right? You're not going to be rolling Joel Embiid for 40-plus minutes night in and night out throughout this tournament. At least I don't think Nick Nurse is going to do that. So I think that the rosters are going to be a little bit expanded. I hope they will be. And I think it's going to be something cool for a lot of NBA diehards out there. So I'm looking forward to it. Definitely a thumbs up. And as you pointed out, something extra that we can wager on in that point in time, which would be November into the early part.
It'll be interesting to see how teams do play that, because there is a circumstance here where you're right, because it is maybe some extra games that they're going to rest players. So that is certainly a possibility. Sean, if that's the case, nobody's watching this. I know for the diehards it could be fun, but I'm not tuning in for Paul Reed. I'm not tuning in for Mac McClung. I'm not tuning in for guys off the bench. I'm tuning in for Joel Embiid. I'm tuning in for James Harden, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. I'm tuning in for the All-Stars. I'm tuning in for the Superstars. Right, they will, but there's a scenario here where what if this is too close, and it's going to be on I think it's set on every Tuesday and Friday, or Tuesday or Saturday, or something like that. So maybe they do space it out enough that these guys are going to play. But what if teams don't care about the NBA Cup? What is giving them the incentive to care and to give Joel Embiid extra minutes? We're talking about Joel Embiid possibly not having more games this year because he's gone for the MVP in the past. He gets hurt into the playoffs. And so maybe this year you take a workload away from him, you give him the extra days off, and then he's healthier in the playoffs. What's the difference here? Why would teams care about the NBA Cup? Are they getting that much more money for winning the NBA Cup? Is the NBA Cup going to be something they prioritize? So you're maybe onto something here. It's all up to how teams want to play this, and if teams don't prioritize it, we will know that, and we will not watch that.
All right. Well, we'll see. I think it's something exciting, something new, and
because that happens in soccer, by the way.
Yeah,
those lineups are different when they go into the different kinds of tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're adding games into the regular season, which is a little bit different here, but again, we need to see how it plays out. But I'm excited about it. All right, question number 5, Philly Debatable, July the 11th, right here on a Tuesday, and let's get on over to the NFL. ESPN.com ranked every edge rusher in the NFL for the upcoming season. Simple question is, who you got at number 1? I'll go first, and I think they did get it right. First of all, the top 5, according to ESPN.com. Now, these are all executives and players that all voted on this. But bottom line is, number 1, Nick Bosa, of course, Defensive Player of the Year last year. 2, Myles Garrett up there with the Cleveland Browns. 3, Micah Parsons with the Dallas Cowboys. TJ Watt from the Steelers. And number 5, Mr. Hassan Reddick right here in Philly, who was unranked as far as last year's list on ESPN.com. So the question here is who you got at number one. It's really hard to argue against Nick Bosa and what he brings to the table. There are very few defenders that I remember over the years that I've looked across the line at the offensive line, whoever's going up against Bosa, and you can literally see them shaking in their boots. That's what Bosa brings to the table. He's an absolute monster out there. But look, as I said, I'll answer the question. Bosa would be my number one. I do want to shine the light on Hassan Reddick. He had an unbelievable season last year, 16 and a half sacks. That dude was about as dominant as it gets, and we were able to watch that front and center here in Philadelphia. But I think at the end of this year, TJ Watt's going to be the number one guy. TJ Watt dealt with an injury, but what do we know about Watt, man? He is just a monster. And up there with the Steelers, I think you're going to see a little bit more improved defense. If he can stay healthy, it won't shock me if we revisit this list come February. TJ Watt is the number one guy.
Yeah, that's immediately where I went. Now, I think those five you mentioned, I can't think of anyone else that would crack that top five. I think those are the top five edge rushers. And I think because, Cleveland's Cleveland, we kind of forget how incredibly stupid talented Myles Garrett is. But TJ Watt might be the most impactful. TJ Watt, when he's healthy, makes that Steelers defense into one of the best defenses in the league. And the record with TJ Watt in there when the Steelers are without him and when they're with him in there when he's not injured is exponentially better. The record is with him. So I think TJ Watt might be the most impactful. I think you're right. I think that's going to be shown when he's healthy this season. The numbers are right up there at the top with every other edge rusher. But I think the most impactful might be TJ Watt. But yeah, I can't really argue with that five, though. I'm glad Reddick is in there. Maybe Micah Parsons a bit overrated right now because I hate to say overrated, but I don't think he's that as skilled as those guys yet because he's still kind of new to this. He wasn't an edge rusher at Penn State. He's still kind of new to this and still gaining sort of those skills to be elite high-end edge rusher, which he already is just based off of his athleticism and how extremely talented he is. But I don't think he's technically as better as, let's say, a Reddick, let's say TJ Watt, or even a Myles Garrett. But he's certainly talented enough to be. So maybe he's the one who could be number one on this list by the end of the season because he has now gained those skills and is another year into being an edge rusher.
All right, that'll do it. Philly Debatable. 7-11, always open.
7-11.
Who's the best wide receiver? When I say always open in the NFL, who you got?
Best wide receiver.
Always open.
Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
It's between him and Jamar Chase.
And I love Jamar Chase, but Justin Jefferson is always open. 7-11.
I'd have to go Jefferson.
All right, 30 seconds on the clock. You know what we do? We wax poetic about whatever is on our mind to close up Philly Debatable. You want to go first?
Yes, I am going to go first. All eyes should be on Wimbledon.
Ooh.
We have two players at the top, and we're seeing it now with Alcaraz in the round of 16 against Berrettini, that this guy is one of the best young players, Berrettini, one of the best young players, Alcaraz, in tennis, and he could be the one to finally start knocking off Novak Djokovic. And that would be significant because Djokovic is starting to make his case for the record books, not only for the greatest men's tennis player of all time, but maybe for the best tennis player of all time. Djokovic is going for those records. Alcaraz in his way. Which one comes out on top? We saw Djokovic come out on top in the semifinal in the French Open, but Wimbledon's going to be much more difficult because Alcaraz likely isn't going to have those same cramping problems as he did in the French Open. This is going to be interesting. Legacy on the line here, new blood coming into the fold. It's really interesting to watch, and I can't wait for it.
You're watching a quarterfinal today. You're right. Joker's amazing, man. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to simply end on this. And, folks, all I know is we were talking about it yesterday, and we will continue to do so up until training camp. One NFL topic, one college football topic, and we discussed the Heisman Trophy Award for this upcoming season. And here's my take. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to win it all this year. He is going to win the Heisman 20-1. He's not a quarterback. I understand it's really dangerous. You're rolling the dice. I get it. But listen to me. Ohio State, they're going to run the table. They're going to be undefeated. Marvin Harrison is going to have a highlight reel catch every single game. And if they go undefeated, he's going to be a finalist in New York. And I think he's got a really strong shot at winning the Heisman Trophy. So 20-1. I saw some books 24-1. DraftKings right now 20-1. Marvin Harrison Jr. Look, if it wasn't for Caleb Williams at USC, he'd be going number one overall in next year's NFL draft. But he's not a quarterback. I get that. I still like him to win the Heisman Trophy. So good luck, everybody. I think it's worth a little sprinkle.
There are actually more than one quarterback that's going to be taken above Harrison. if everything goes right, North Carolina with Drake May. There are a lot of good quarterbacks in the draft class this year.
Man, that's disrespectful to the wide receiver position.
It's not disrespectful at all because the quarterback position is more important than the wide receiver.
Yeah, those UNC quarterbacks are really good over the years, too.
Drake May's the best of the best.
All right, we'll keep it moving here. It's Philly Debatable. That's Jon Jansen. I am Sean Brace. Shout out to Jeremy behind the glass. We appreciate everybody for watching. Once again, you can catch us live Monday through Friday on the Daily Ticket. Hear it on the iHeart Radio app, or we're always live on YouTube, Fox Sports The Gambler. Until next time, Philly Debatable. Sean Brace, Jon Jansen. Talk to you.